Okay. Welcome to another Tuesday night. I'm sorry last week I wasn't here. I wasn't feeling well. I had some flu, some virus, some corona, another additional sickness. And Baruch Hashem, it extended, not just to me, shkoyach, to my kids, my wife, everyone got sick. And it's a good thing. That means your body's working well. They made a study, they said that most people that they found out that they had the disease, the C word, I don't like to say, they found out that they weren't sick for 2-3 years beforehand. Weren't sick. They made a study. But it's not to all cases, but the majority of them. And when they asked the doctor, they said that the professor said because their body already stopped fighting all of the garbage that was in it, and this is a sign that, because people were shocked when they get it. When your body works well, you get fevers, you get colds, and so on and so forth. A person shouldn't cry that. He said, Baruch Hashem, my body's working properly. Understood? Very good. I know, also I wasn't here. Okay, I already said that. Now, another thing. I know I'm going to say it many times before it actually happens. We're planning on a Shabbaton for the Chevre, for the guys. And I send out a link to some Chevre. If you're interested, please fill it out. I will have Mr. Plashtiev contact anyone that signed up to update them with all the situation, what's going on, and the payment, and so on and so forth. He will be in charge of that. I have enough things on my head. He's very good in that. I know I just threw it on you, but this is life. This is your tshuva for celebrating New Year's. And let's start. You know, the Mefarshim say that this week's parasha is called Parashat Chazak or Chizuk. Why? Because we are going into the days of Shovavim. Now, I don't know if you guys know what Shovavim is, and I'll tell you. There's a certain time of the year, the Ari says, that is as great as Yom Kippur. To do tshuva for one of the greatest sins of mankind, which has to do with adultery, anything to do with promiscuity, I think. That's how they say it in English, and anything to do with in that sense of living, how you live your life. That's the best time to do teshuvah. And why? Many reasons, and today hopefully we will grasp upon this, and we will talk about it, how we already see it in our parasha, and how this affects also for a woman. Do not think for 1 second there's a mitzvah for a man that a woman is not obligated to. Even tefillin and tzitzit and so on and so forth, a woman is also obligated, maybe not bepoal, not maybe physically she's not obligated, but as soon as she gets married, has a spouse and has kids, this definitely applies to her as well. As the Gemara says, Abai used to call his wife Beiti, you are my house. He used to call her my house. Well, what kind of nonsense? Imagine you call your wife my house. She thinks she's a cleaning lady. What do you call me, a cleaning lady? No, you're just the foundation of the household. At the end of the day, the boss in the house is the woman. There's nothing you can do about it. This is Lamaisa, this is the fact of life. And it's a good thing. Now, another thing I wanted to mention, but I forgot, but it's okay. Coach Baruch wanted me to forget. Please, Steve, you have to be active. If you're not active, I'm going to just be dulled out the whole class. I'm telling you. You can't be, you have to be, I need that ADHD coming back. I need it. So we see in this week's parasha a very interesting, fascinating thing. Yaakov Avinu goes and says to his people that were with him, I am fearing that I'm about to die. And call me Yosef. I need Yosef. My son, my favorite son. Imagine, you didn't see his son for 22 years, Rabbi Isai. Imagine having a chukah, a desire, a wanting to be with he loved Yosef. So I want you to understand something. We think everything that Torah says, of course, it's 100% it happened. But there's always something that there's a deeper concept behind it. Why was it that Yaakov Avinu was in love with Yosef? He had another 11 boys. 11! Imagine you having 12 boys. Just look at him. Plashtiv is on cloud 9. That's the greatest thing. No, every guy only wants boys, right? They don't want to have the worriness of having a daughter, right? Fact, he's saying. Now suddenly he said fact, right? He had 12 boys! why this one did he go crazy about? He was going, oh my God, Yosef, to the point in last week's parasha, the Ovid Yisrael says, when he found out Yosef was alive, even though he sent him the Agalot, he was teaching him Egel Arufa, that he didn't forget any of the Torah. He said, I want to see my son. If I don't see him, I don't really believe. Of course he believed. What did he want to see? He wanted to see for his eyes, did Yosef really change? Or is he really the same person? I want to see my son. And the Mefarshim go into such detail. We think that hugging people is a normal thing. The Mefarshim say how it's very not normal. If you look at the Ramban and if you look at the Orach Chaim, it says that Yosef HaTzadik hugged Yaakov Avinu. Everyone asks, what kind of respect is that? You didn't see your father for so many years. You bow, you kiss his hands, and then you hug. What is this? And you see that the love that even Yosef had towards his father was unbelievable. The strength that Yosef needed to have for 22 years not to fall. And why didn't he fall? It's very simple. Because Yosef in his teva and his nature, he was the beacon of hope. That's why he's the yesod. He's the foundation. And a person has to understand that through the Shvatim we can learn, this week we're going to get into a little bit about Yehuda and Dan hopefully, how their brachot didn't just go for their shevet, it went to the whole Klal Yisrael. Yaakov Avinu blesses his kids in this week's parasha before he dies. And he gives each child a certain blessing. Why didn't he bless everyone b'klalut? Some people get upset. Oh, how come my Rebbe only tells me to do this and my Rebbe only tells me to do that? Because your Rebbe knows that you have a certain path and you have a certain path. If you and I would be enjoying in our paths, what would make us different? For example, as we see again in last week's parasha, Yaakov Avinu tells who to build the yeshiva. Yehuda. Why? You ever ask yourself? Send a messenger to Yosef, let Yosef build. Why you need Yehuda to build it? What's to Yehuda? No? It's a beautiful question. Send Yosef a messenger, call it a day. No. Yaakov Avinu knew that Yehuda had a certain thing in him of responsibility. And how do we see this? When Yaakov Avinu said that, I'm not sending Binyamin. What did Yehuda say? Alai, it's on me. I take full responsibility for this child. It's on me. My responsibility is to who? To Binyamin. He saw he had that responsibility. Only a person that is willing to go full force can be Baal Mechanech. Can be a person, a good father or mother is a person that is sensitive to the feelings of his children. A father or mother cannot say, oh, I don't care if you have a math test. You're in school, you have to study. You have to understand, every child is different. Every person is different. That's why I said, if you go to school, especially in college, always find one Ashkenaz friend. Because at the end of the day, you can always somehow go around it. That's the way it works. As someone came to me, I have to say this story. I'm not going to say it, but I hope the college see this. And they said that he's in a nursing program, and he said, I don't understand. I'm in a class with a couple of people. We're all struggling. There's this group of 4 or 5 people. They just, the test is supposed to take 45 minutes. They're done in 20 minutes. It's abnormal to finish in 20 minutes. And then when you go and ask them, do you have the test? Do you have something? They deny it. Or they want to blackmail you. And if you try blackmailing them, they go against you. There's a whole thing behind it. He said, how does this happen? How does this happen? I said, they're welcome to life, my habibi. You have to know who you know. Who you know is very important. Okay, let's get back to the sugya. Now, why did Yaakov Avinu call Yosef HaTzadik? He called him in, he said, listen, B'ni HaYakar, my son, sim na yadcha tachad yerichi, put your hand in the holiest place and swear. Swear to me what? That you're going to allow my body to rest where my forefathers are resting. Make sure I don't end up in Mitzrayim. And why did he trust Yosef? Why? Why did he tell Binyamin? Why didn't he tell, Reuven, Shimon Levi, right? Shimon Levi, hot-headed. Yehuda was also, he was a king. How come he didn't, why he told Yosef? I'll tell you why. Go ahead, what?
He knew everything going on there, like Yosef firsthand knew, so he wouldn't leave his father.
Okay, so this is what Rashi says, and then Mefarshim say. You were getting to it, actually.
Joseph has power, political power. He's the only one that's allowed.
Yosef had Sadiq. When the Midrash goes as follows: when he got out of the pit, out of jail to go speak to Paro, the Midrash says his throne had 70 steps. Every step corresponded to another chokhmah, another language that you knew. The more languages you knew, higher you would be able to walk up. So Paro would start in Persian, and Yosef would answer back in Persian, and the conversation would go. Then he would speak in Arabic, and it would go up, and then in Latin, and then it would go up, and then in English, and then in Chinese, and it would go up, until Yosef got up to the 70th step. And then Yosef, like a true Jew, starts to speak to him in which language? In Hebrew, Lashon HaKodesh. And the Midrash says that Paro didn't know Lashon HaKodesh. And Paro got very scared. Why? Who was supposed to be Paro? Who was the Pharaoh in Egypt? The man that knew the most chokhmah, had the most knowledge. If you had the most knowledge, knew the most languages, you're sitting on the throne. Paro goes and says, "Swear to you, I'm gonna make a shvuah to you, Yosef, that you will be on top of the whole Mitzrayim. Just don't reveal the secret." When Yosef went to Paro said, "I'm not letting Yaakov go out." You have to understand something. Yaakov came to Egypt at the middle of the second year of the famine. When Yaakov came, what happened? The Nile River started to produce water and started to overflow into the crops. And the famine was over. Yaakov said, Paro said, "If I'm gonna let this guy go right now, I'm gonna lose everything. I'm done. I'm gonna have no pull over these people. I'm gonna forever be lost. I cannot do that." Until Yosef said, "What? You promised me. Don't make me blackmail you right now. I will blackmail you, Paro." And Paro allowed that Yaakov Avinu's body should be buried in Eretz Canaan. To the degree, something we learn very, very, very important is that, to submit yourself to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to God, is extremely difficult. Why? Because in essence, let's be honest, God is not something, in the beginning of your life journey, it's not something you can touch or feel or hear. Sometimes you feel when you do Avodat HaKodesh, you're fooling yourself. It happens. Put on tefillin, you look at yourself, what am I doing? I look like an idiot. Who said? Maybe it's all shtuyot. A woman goes one day and says, "I want to be tzanua." She's getting ready to go to school and she looks at her and says, "I look like an idiot. I look like a grandma. What do I do?" How do I get that connection that when I do a Torah mitzvot, I don't feel that way? There has to be something that I do, that I can do, that when I'm in my spiritual journey, I don't feel that way. And it's something we see in this week's parasha. We see that Yosef HaTzadik and all the brothers had something called Bitul Ritzonam La'avim. They nullified their will to the will of their father, to the will of the Talmid Chacham, to the rabbi. In order for, I'm going to tell you something personal. I remember when I was going through in my high school years, when I was going through certain difficulties in my religious growth. Everyone goes through it. A person has to just be had to be true to himself about it. I met my Rebbe there. And he basically picked me up like a little baby. Picked me up, and he explained to me that it's okay to feel the way you're feeling. It's absolutely normal. La'afech, if you wouldn't feel this way, you wouldn't be normal. You need to go through these challenges in order for you to put your foot down and have your you have to have your foundations down. And he came and he guided me to my whole life, including today. I see my Rebbe every single day. There's not a day that I don't see him kimat. Every day. Why? Because the only way a person can mekasher himself to HaKadosh Baruch Hu to his fullest extent is if he mekashers himself to his Rebbe. Whoever he or she shall be, that has to be your backbone of your life. Maybe I shouldn't say this, I'm going to say it anyways. The Oyved Yisrael says something unbelievable in last week's parasha. I was going through it. He said some people want to be wealthy, right? You'll be surprised. Not everyone wants to be rich. Not everyone wants to be rich. But let's say for the ones that want to be rich, right? Filthy rich. But they don't have zchuyot. They don't have zchuyot. They don't have a merit. They did too much avirot in their lifetime, or in their last lifetime, or they were not born in the stars, in the mazal that allows them to have that abundance of richness. So what do you do? What do you do? So the Oyved Yisrael says something amazing. I'm not going to get into all the details, but I'm going to tell you b'klaliyut what he says. He says, when you go to your Rebbe, and you give your Rebbe a pidyon nefesh, that means you tell your Rebbe to daven for you, and your Rebbe davens for you that you should be wealthy. There's a whole cycle what the Rebbe has to do. Just because of that merit, you are more destined to be wealthy than other people in the world. Because your Rebbe has the koach to mevatel the deen that's upon you. That's amazing. That's how important it is to have a Rebbe. It's extremely important. And a person, usually people that don't have teachers that guide them, is people with major ego. Extremely. Why? I don't need him. What is he going to tell me? Who's this guy? Nobody. That's exactly Maaseh Esav. That's what Esav taught in this week's parasha. Who dies too? Esav also dies. By who? You know by who? By a deaf man. By a deaf man. Tell you a story that happened. They went to bury Yaakov Avinu. Dan had one son. His name was Hushim. He was deaf. Couldn't hear. And they're getting to the Ma'at HaMachpelah, and Esav comes with his whole family. He says, Ya Habibi, you can't bury Yaakov Avinu here. This is my spot. My father loved me. He didn't love you. You ran away for 20, really more. For 36 years, I didn't run away. I stayed with him. You don't belong here. Hushim was deaf. He said, what's going on over here? And he said, your great uncle is not allowing your grandfather to be buried. He said, what? He said, yeah. He's mizalzel. He's putting down my grandfather. I got him. He took an arrow and he killed him. On the spot. Killed him. Hushim killed Esav. Some say he chopped off his head, whatever the case was. He killed him on the spot. On the spot. And Esav's head is buried where? In the Ma'at HaMachpelah. When I went to Eretz Israel, right? Well, yeah, it rolled down. When I went to Eretz Israel, I went right before Chodesh Elul. I was there we went to do a tikkun over there. And I was sitting there, and I was with a couple of Israeli guys. It's always fun. You know, Israeli people, they're very interesting characters. They're very hot-headed, but if you know how to play their rhythm, they're your best friends. So I'm sitting with a couple of Israeli guys there, and they're talking. And one guy goes, can you imagine? Esav's head is somewhere over there, and I'm laughing over there. And he's over there, and he's making fun of Esav over there. You know, Esav's potential was greater than Yaakov Avinu.
This was the first one.
10 times greater than Yaakov Avinu. Even spiritually wise, he had a much greater soul than him. You know, in our life, we have two choices. We have a choice to be either Yaakov or Esav. There is no middle. There's no middle ground. You have to pick. You have to pick your life of your work and your slavery, or your avodat HaKodesh to grow in spirituality. That's a machloket you have right now. You have to pick, you have to decide. Do I want to indulge my life only with physicality, or am I willing to say, stop? When am I going to have time to feed my soul? And you're not understanding that when you feed your soul properly, automatically you will be able to feed your physicality properly. Because if you don't have the proper balance, you crash. And then life becomes very dull and very boring, to the extent that you ask yourself, what am I doing? I feel so dumb, but you're so ready, you're so sucked into it, you're scared ready to get out of it. And that's what people's mistakes are. And that's what Esau's mistake. But what's the point? Why did I tell you this? Hushin couldn't handle someone embarrassing his Rebbe. My Rebbe's body should be waiting for this Rasha to make a decision. I'm chopping off his head. It's the end of the game. There's no point of, there's no arguing. I'm taking off the guy's head. You're not going to be mezalzel my grandfather. And he was blessed for that. A person has to understand that a similar story happened to me. Not to me personally, but I'm a very controversial person in the community, somewhat. Some people love me, some people hate me, but it's okay. And one Rav one time spoke very bad about me in front of the whole kehillah, and I had a Talmud there. In the middle of the speech. A person has to know how to defend his Rebbe. Has to know. Whatever it is. Life or death. Whatever the outcome was, it was. But a person that... Who are people that are willing to defend their Rebbeim? Ones that are stuck in solid gold. Ya Habibi, this man is my rock. I remember when I was in high school one time. We were on 108th Street, and Rabbi Kleiman was walking behind the fence, and one kid from the public school, I think it was a goy even, he spat at him. I never saw so many people jump over the fence. They were about to devour this guy. They'll rip his head apart. You touch my Rebbe, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna murder you right now. And Rabbi Kleiman was like this, and that's it. The whole thing. He's like, don't touch him. But imagine a whole bunch of yeshiva guys, black and white, tzitzit coming out. They don't know, we're not Ashkenazim, we're Sfaradim. And goons flying over the fence, like, what are you doing? Are you normal? And that's the way a Talmud has to be. Because if you would know all your hashpaot, all of your goodness, all your bracha, all your shefa comes through this man, you would never ever stop in your life picking him up. Never in your life would you stop. That's one thing I wanted to talk about today. There's a second thing that I want to talk about today, which is very, very sensitive to most people, but I have to say it. I forgot to say this is what I wanted to say. Unfortunately, usually during the weeks of Shovavim, we do the dating series. I usually do a dating series that takes around 6 to 7 weeks. This year I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it because of different reasons. And at the end, Lamaskana, I'm going to do it because I had certain phone calls that people called me and said, you have to do it. And a lot of things that I said last year, I have to change certain things. Certain ideas, certain content. As you get older, you realize things have to be changed. So hopefully, January 24th should be the first shiur. They're making a flyer, they're getting it ready. And if you know anyone that could benefit, not 15-year-olds, but anyone that can benefit, please let them know. Now, we see another very interesting thing in this week's parasha. Don't forget your phone. We see something very interesting in this week's parasha, and with this we're going to finish. Yaakov Avinu goes to Yehuda, and he says, Yehuda, Gur Aryeh, you are the roar of a lion. You know, there's only one animal in the world. There's only one animal in the world that regardless if he's sitting, if he's standing, if he's sleeping, he's never threatened. Never. And he's, the laziest animal. You know which animal that is? The lion. Do you ever think for a second, how come the lion is the king of the jungle? It doesn't make sense. You know how lazy that animal is? Extremely lazy. He doesn't do anything. No. His wife hunts. I see you didn't see National Geographic when you were a kid.
I did.
His wife hunts. He just comes. He gets up. He eats. He procreates, and he goes back to bed. That's his job. He has a lot of female, I guess, whatever the case is, and they do the whole thing for him. Why is he the king of the jungle? Why? Why? Because he has hair all over? Why? What makes him the king of the jungle? I tell you what it is. We see it from Yehuda. Now we're going to get into it. A lion has a certain midah, characteristic trait that no other animal has. And that it's fearless. It's fearless. Any animal that would come to attack it, it would die to its death. It doesn't care if it's a bear, if it's a band of hyenas, if it's an elephant, whatever it is. He has no fear. He doesn't give up. Doesn't give up whatsoever. I don't give up. In my nature is to fight till the death.
Well, Rabbi, there's a lot of animals that don't give up.
Correct. None is like the lion. None. Zero. Zero is like the lion. We see that Yehuda, and why is this so connected to Yehuda? Because Yehuda, why is he the king of why are we called Yehudim? We're not all from Judah. We're not. Maybe we should be called Yosefim, tribe of Joseph, Binyamin. Maybe. Why are we called Yehudim? You see, Yehuda, we have to go back to his story. He lived with his daughter-in-law. He physically lived with her and got her pregnant. And when that story happened, he could have just said to everyone, just kill her. Instead, what did he do? He took the blame. He admitted that it was him that was with her. Can you imagine such a thing? A king. He's the king of all the tribes. And he says, listen, I made a mistake. A person that knows how to admit from his mistakes is a person that can grow from his mistakes. If a person doesn't know how to admit from his mistakes that he did, he will never be able to grow from it. Ever. Because he will forever be in denial if he did the mistake or if he didn't do the mistake. Yehuda, on the other hand, he said, I did it. I did the mistake. And I'm going to do tshuva for it. I'm going to go on. And this is Shovavim. We did the mistake. Okay, we did it. Now what? We have to grow from it. We have to get better from it. Sometimes you ask yourself, how do I know what to work on? I heard a story today. Beautiful story. In Russia, a lot of Jews, unfortunately, went to Siberia just for practicing basic things in Judaism. There was a man over there, his name was Mendel Futterfass. He was a Chabad Chassid, and he went through a lot of hell in his life. And he said there was a story one time he was in the jail there with the gulags over there. And one of the rules in the jail of Siberia, you can't play cards. No card games. So he was in a cell with a whole bunch of guys, and one of them decided to rat everyone out. Go in. And he goes to the sergeant and the police, whatever the case was there, and suddenly they hear 3 officers coming in, and they're merely playing cards. Right away, one guy comes, takes the cards, and these 3 cards come in, they check everybody. They check this guy, they check that guy, check this guy, check that guy. They're checking everyone. After 10-15 minutes of checking, they can't find the cards. The officers leave, the guys sit back down, and they start playing cards again. Mendel Futterfass was thinking, and he said, this is unbelievable. What happened? When the guys heard that the officers came in, most of these guys, they're thieves. He took the cards and he put it in the officer's pocket, without the officer even realizing that the cards are in his own pocket. The officer's checking, he can't find it. Why? Where is it? It's in his own pocket. The officer was about to leave, he goes in, takes the cards out of his officer's pockets and puts it back in his pocket. Now, a person has to understand that if you want to change, it's right there. It's in your pocket. It's not too far away. You don't have to say, in order for me to become a better person, I have to drop what I'm doing and I have to go and go to another country or go to another place and restart my life. No, ya habibi. Because you're not realizing the things that you think you're going to leave behind, you're actually taking them with you. You're not leaving your problems behind. You're taking your problems with you. You don't even realize it. And that's the gift of Yehuda. And that's why he was blessed to be a lion. Because us as Yehudim, as Jews, why do we have that name of Yehudim? Because Yehuda spelled Yud Kei Vav. It has God's name in it. When you say, I'm going to do better in your life, even though it's hard and difficult and your surroundings maybe putting you down, and everyone has this. I was once your age too. You have to come to a conclusion and say, I am not allowing myself to be convinced otherwise. But it's hard for me to go to Shacharit, Rabbi. It's hard for me to wake up. It's not hard for you to smoke that weed before you go to sleep, no? Right? It's not hard for you to roll up and to take a nice chill and kaif avad and then go to bed. That you didn't say is hard. I think it's hard to roll a joint if you ask me. Why don't you give up? Why don't you give up? Why do you still roll it and smoke it? Then you gotta go get food, and then you got the munchies, and then you come home, and then you don't know if you should sleep because you want to enjoy the high. Why isn't that hard? Huh? Why isn't that hard? I think that's more hard than waking up early in the morning and going to minyan. Why is that? Why? Because you enjoy it. Why? Because you don't want to get rid of it. You want. So what are you basically saying? I want to be in my gut, in my garbage. I don't want to grow out of it. I want to stay in it. So who's to blame? Who's to blame for your downfall? Only you. Only you. I want to keep New Year's. It just passed, right? I want to Novi God, champagne, kissing, loving. What is this nonsense? It's pure idol worship. Pure idol worship. That Yamach Shemo guy was not even born that day. They made that holiday to calm down the Goyim when they wanted to convert everyone to Christianity.
We don't celebrate for that reason.
I know you don't. The only sin in the Torah, the only sin that you're chayiv for it, even though you didn't do it intentionally, is when you do idol worship. Can you imagine such a thing?
Thanksgiving.
What about?
Thanksgiving.
Wait.
It's a different story.
One second. You're going to Thanksgiving, then you get into Halloween, then you get into Easter and all this other stuff. We're talking about the New Year right now.
Isn't New Year the new solar year?
Yes.
So what's the problem?
It is. Halloween is Avodah Zarah.
It's not the original solar year.
No. Shh. We're getting into different topics. I'm going to be honest with you. Thanksgiving is also. It is also. I don't want to. I did a whole thing on it. I don't want to talk about it right now. We'll talk about it.
I want to rephrase it. It's not a Christian holiday though. It's a national holiday.
No, let me say so.
Christian, Rabbi.
No. It's not. Wait. It's not even Christian. It's a pagan holiday.
It's a pagan one.
It's a national holiday.
It's when they worship the winter solstice. They did it purposely. The goyim, they used to worship the latest time of the year because it was the beginning of starting to get longer days, and there was the ground didn't produce fruit. So they would do all these sacrifices and all these kind of things. And through this, people used to keep a holiday. When Christianity came to town and said, listen, let's do a mass conversion, the Goyim said, we're not giving up our holiday. Why should I give up my enjoyment? So you know what they did? They infused their beliefs, which is full of nonsense, into the pagan world. Now, you as a Jew, you don't know history, unfortunately. You don't know that on that day was a day of plunder, of raping and killing and destroying Jews. You don't know history. Of course you live in the 21st century, you're eating, you're enjoying. I'm not blaming you, chas v'shalom. I'm not blaming you, not even an ounce. But I will tell you it's your responsibility to know your history. You know what St. Nicholas used to do for sports? He used to get a whole bunch of Jews, feed them, like make them eat. He used to pick them up all the way to a mountain. He said, run! Naked. Run! And he used to throw boulders of rocks. Whoever stayed alive, stayed alive. Whoever died, sports. Kaifu, you just killed another Jew. So when you pick up that glass and you go kiss your, whatever the case is, I don't know, this generation, who we kissing already these days, and you pick up the glass, say, Happy Shtuyot. You know what basically saying? Kol hakavod, let's kill all the Jews. But I don't mean it. I know you don't mean it. I know you don't mean it. Pick another day to celebrate with friends. Pick another day to celebrate with friends. Pick another day. It's like you're getting married and your wife, instead of going to get a normal wedding dress, she gets a cocktail dress. And she says, I'm doing this only for you because I know what special time is going to be for you later on. Yeah, Habibi, you're showing your whole body off to the world. I don't need this nonsense. No, but I'm doing it for you. I love you. It's just for me and you. Hello? What do you mean you're doing it for me? What's going on over here? But people don't think that way. Why? Because I will take your question. In your mind, you're like, this is tradition. This is just enjoyment. We're just celebrating the new calendarial year. No, you're not.
Probably can't see calendar.
True. No, you're not. You're not. Because Lamaisa, you're really not. And Easter's coming up. You know what's Easter? How many months away from Xmas is Easter?
Exodus from what?
Xmas.
Exodus from it's just like 4
6
months?
6, 7 months. For what? It's when they get pregnant. Abu Dazar gets pregnant. Giving birth to what? Eggs and what? Bunnies. You know why? Fertility. The holiday of fertility. It's all Avodat Zarah Rabbi Isai. If you don't learn, you don't know. We're too ashamed to take our own holidays, which is full of, it's so much more beautiful. And we say, who needs this? Habibi, you have to have pride in your traditions. Have pride in your religion. I'm not bashing anyone. If you enjoy, you enjoy. There's nothing you can do about it. But now that you know it, you have to ask yourself, how am I going to build on it? How am I going to make myself better on it? To bash yourself that you did it is counterintuitive. Because you're not causing anything good out of it. It's not going to come out. Now you have to define that you put yourself into that pit. You put yourself into that pit. How am I taking myself out? How next year I'm going to, instead of doing this, I'm going to make a huge shiur Torah. And it's going to be fun. And you know what? It's not going to be New York. We're going to take all the Chaver to Poconos and we're going to do it over there. How about that? You didn't think that way. Why? Because at that moment you're infatuated with all the shtuyot that's around you. And I don't blame you. I will never blame you. It's hard to be a Jew as it is in this day and age with all of our tests. But that doesn't mean we have to give up. Because the same way how it's hard, it's as great as the potential is. What's your question?
How come we celebrate? I mean, not celebrate. Like we follow the calendar.
We don't.
We do.
We don't.
We follow the times. We don't have our own calendar. We have a Jewish calendar, but
okay, let me explain something to you. Can I explain something to you? Tzadik. First of all, what's your first name? Nisan. Ooh, the month of Nisan. Listen to me. Drive a Nissan? No, I'm joking. Come, focus over here for a second. Focus. First of all, we have our own calendar. We have our own calendar. To the extent we even have our own year. When I was in 3rd grade, I remember this like black and white. While my teacher's middle of teaching supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, the longest word in America, and he was teaching me this, I remember this like in black and white. I wasn't the smartest kid, but certain questions I raised my hand, I said, let me ask you a question. I was, 3rd, 4th grade. I said, I think he was a fried Jew. I said, if you claim that this world is billions of years, right? how come the years, I don't know what it was back in the day, 2001, 2000 maybe. And he looked at me and he said, because this is the year that we celebrate, or there's really a machloket between Christianity. Christianity is such a mubal, it's such a confused religion that you really have no idea. This is from the time we celebrate when Yoshka passed away. They count the calendar. They're 70 years off, or they're 50 years off, or they're 100 years off. They're not sure how many years they're off, actually. That's why we have the date that we have. We also have a calendar. We're in Tafshin, what? Pei? Gimel. Tishpeg. From when Adam Rishon was created, not from when the world was created, from when Adam Rishon was created until today, we know the year. We're not confused. Now, what's the difference? Since we live in a society that we have no choice, when we write a check, we have to put the Goyish calendar. We have to put the Goyish date. So we have to put it. But let me ask you another question. When you were bar mitzvah, you had your bar mitzvah in your English birthday or in your Hebrew birthday? Why? Why? You don't need English! People don't realize how much we use the Hebrew calendar. When someone passes away in the family, when do we do the Yeshua? When do we calculate the Yortzeit?
Birthday after 1 year.
Hebrew. Why not the English? Because deep down we know the truth. We just don't want to admit it. Because in our nature as humans, it's very interesting. As humans, we want to be like them until we're threatened from them. Once we're threatened from them, suddenly we don't want to be like them anymore. I promise you today, if tomorrow there's going to be a dictator coming in America that says kill all the Jews, I promise you today, at least 50% of your friends that you know that were half and half are going to be 100% Orthodox. 100%. Why? Because I don't know what it is in the Jewish brain, but when we are denied our rights to be a Jew, suddenly we want to be all rabbis. When we have this freedom and comfortability of worshiping our God, the God, not our, but the God properly, suddenly we say, oh, Habibi, we take a break. We're on a break, We're on a break, ya Habibi. Those couples, we're on a break. You know what it means, I'm on a break? Bye-bye. That's what it means, basically. I'll call you when I need you. When I need you, I'll call you. If I don't need you, don't bother me, God. So in reality, what I'm telling you is don't wait for that time in your life that you're going to knock on the door and say, Hashem, please help me. Finance is not doing good. My girlfriend's driving me crazy. My parents, if you take care of this issue right now, you know what? I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's well rewarding. It's well rewarding to keep Torah mitzvot and know that eventually you're going to marry someone that's going to have the same values as you. Someone that wants to have a good life and wants to have a good future. Someone that's not a chofshiyah. Someone that's not been around all over the world. You want that, no? As a man, that's what you want. You're going to get exactly what you want. This is the metzias of life. The metzias of life, the fact is, what you seek, that's who you are, that's what you're eventually going to get. Don't expect to be like Esav and then to marry Rachel Imenu. It doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. Yaakov married Rachel, not Esav. So when you come to this mitbalbel, you're in a bit of a confusion, it's because you put yourself in that confusion. I'm going to ask you a simple question. Very simple. What's the difference between a guy that doesn't keep Torah mitzvot and me? I just want to know where the logic goes. What's the difference?
To follow it, he doesn't follow Torah.
I just want to know, besides in religion-wise, physical, monetarily, what's the difference?
Not
You're usually happier?
Who's happier? Maybe he's happier. I want to know. I know you've been in yeshiva. You know the whole spiel right now. Honestly, you tell me.
No.
What is his meat redder than mine?
No.
What's it there? Is his wagyu more marble than mine? I'm not. Is his chandelier made out of diamonds? What's the difference? Is his house bigger than mine? I'm not understanding what's the difference.
Life.
Is his wife more respectful and beautiful than life? Explain to me.
Perspective.
Explain to me. Wait, he said life. Explain to me what that means.
Because Because you like a rabbi, you
Forget I'm a rabbi. I'm not a rabbi. I'm really not a rabbi. I am, but I'm not. I'm not. You think I don't go on vacation? You think I don't travel? I travel. I go on vacation. Yes, certain places I don't go. I won't go. I don't want to see my wife going in a public. I don't want to be in a place that I have to look at bikinis. I don't enjoy it. My Yetzirah might enjoy it. But why should I give a problem when I put on tefillin and all this shit coming into my brain? Why when I'm in the middle of meditating to talk HaKadosh Baruch Hu, all this garbage has to come into my brain?
It makes you different.
Okay, but explain to me, how is he enjoying life better than I am? I never understood this. And I spoke to many rich people. They told me, Lamaisa, there's no difference. How she said, it's perspective. Her perspective, in his perspective, he has more of an enjoyable life because he has more gashmiut, he has more physicality.
Yeah, but really he feels dull because the spiritual and the physical is not balanced, no?
When a person doesn't have a purpose, and I'm going to explain to you what it means purpose, please crack that window a little bit, I'm very hot. When a person doesn't have not just a purpose, not authority, he's not really living. He's not living. He's just indulging in desires. A free man is a man that knows how to say no. No. That's called freedom of choice. I know how to say no. I am not going to St. Paul, wherever there's an island like that. I'm not going there. Why? It's full of pritzut. What's to me into that place? What did I lose there? When a person comes and says, we're going to enjoy, Habibi, you never saw waters like there. The water's there, your mouth's going to drop. Tamchokies, Bariets, leave your wife there, boy, kaifavad. He comes, I have friends like that tell me that all the time. You know what I say? No! Not because I don't want. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told me no, so the answer is no. How can I go? How? The creator of the world, I worship him 24/7 of my life, and I'm gonna say, wait, give me a 5-minute break. I need a recess. Time out, God. I'm just being a hypocrite. I'm lying to myself. I'm mamish lying. When a person is a pick and choose Jew, he's lying to himself. How dumb does a person have to be to act like that? One day you're tzano, next day you're not tzano. One day you're like this, then has nothing to do it's hard or not hard. You're lying to yourself. You cause yourself to lie to yourself. And then what? Any benefits going to come out of it? No, just more confusion. Not to you, but to your kids. Because your kids are going to grow up one day. And they're going to say, what the hell's wrong with my mom? She's all tzanu outside, she comes home, she looks like a rag. Who said? I don't have to cover my hair at home. Who said? Who said? Who said this nonsense? It's erva. Who said? Oh, it's chofshi, let's be free. You can't do that. And then we look at this generation. How come there's so many degenerated kids? Kids that are retarded. Because you're becoming a hypocrite in your own house. You cannot preach one thing and then when you come home do something totally different. You can't be the Musar Sefer outside telling other families how they have to live and how they have to raise their kids, and when you go home you mutarim lecha, mutarim lecha, mutarim lecha. And this is what I'm very strict on. When I have parents come to me and they say we have shalom bayis, I say because you're hypocrites. You're living a hypocritical life. So the answer comes back to you, Lamaisa. Where am I holding? Who am I? What am I doing with my life? Am I going to be like that Yehuda that takes my downfalls and my tests and the things that I failed and I'm going to build on it? Or am I going to infatuate myself? Oh, I already fell in the Avera. I'm going to just, I'm going to fall more and who cares? The test isn't, the ball is in your court, as they say. It's in your court. You have to fix it. You have to take the bull by his horns and you got to tackle it down. And I guarantee you, once you tackle it down, it's the hardest fight. But once you win, it's the greatest adrenaline of your life. You're gonna say, I want to do this again. I want to. You ever took an ice bath? when I go to Tannersville on Shabbatons, there's a mikveh there. There is no heat there. No heat. I'm very makbid to go to the mikveh. And the mikveh is on the verge of becoming ice. That's how cold it is. It's an indoor mikveh. But there's no heat. They don't put on the heat during the winter. I sometimes go with some Talmidim, older guys. It takes some guys 20 minutes to get into the mikveh. But once they come out of the mikveh,
You feel good?
they don't just feel good. They feel like they took cocaine to another level. They feel so adrenaline. They want to rip through the wall of the mikveh. Like, calm down. Like, Rabbi, I feel so good. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Why? Because you know what he just did? He took his doubts, he took his tests, he took his fear, and he defeated it. When you defeat it, what happens to you? You become crazy. I did it! I can do it again! I can do it again! I had a kid that go in, it was a couple months back, and unfortunately he had a nightly admission that on Shabbat, he said, Rabbi, I know I did it yesterday. It's freezing. Can you find me a heter maybe to take a shower? I don't want to go into the mikveh. I looked at him and I said, what are you, a man? Right away, I'm going to the mikveh. Freezing water! Freezing! We were all sick. Freezing! He went in. Why? I did it, I can do it again. Now you have to take that perspective with your whole life. You being in existence, you already won the battle between you and billions of different seeds. You in your nature, you're a winner. You're a fighter. That's who you are in your nature. You come down to this world and you have a test. What do you trickle down right away? You fall down? What kind of man are you? You gotta take your test by the horns and you gotta handle it. Like Yehuda did. You gotta fight it. And if you're not gonna do that, you're just gonna fall back down. I'm not telling you it's easy to get rid of all the tavot that you have. But if you're not gonna start now, you're gonna enable yourself to live with it for the rest of your life. Comprende? Okay. That's it. Baruch Adonai Olam. Amen. Amen.